Most people believe banks control money with numbers, contracts, interest rates, and fine print, but the real control happens much deeper than that, because banks do not just manage money, they manage behavior, emotions, habits, and fear, and the most powerful tricks they use are psychological, not financial. The first trick banks use is called normalization, which means making debt feel normal, harmless, and even responsible, because when something feels normal, the brain stops questioning it. From a young age people are told that taking loans is part of life, that student loans are normal, that car loans are normal, that credit cards are normal, and that mortgages are normal, so debt slowly stops feeling like a risk and starts feeling like a requirement for adulthood, even though debt always means future labor already promised away. When debt becomes normal, resistance disappears, and when resistance disappears, control becomes easy. The second trick banks use is delayed pain, because the human brain is very bad at understanding future consequences, and banks know this, which is why credit cards feel painless in the moment, because you swipe now and feel pleasure now, while the pain is pushed into the future, and future pain feels distant, abstract, and easy to ignore, but when the bill finally arrives the pleasure is gone and only obligation remains. Yet by then the habit is already formed and the cycle repeats. This is why minimum payment options exist, not to help you, but to stretch pain across time so it feels manageable while keeping you trapped longer. Another powerful trick banks use is fear framing, where they make you believe that not using their products is dangerous, irresponsible, or risky, because people are more motivated by fear than logic, so you are told that without credit you have no financial reputation, without loans you cannot grow, and without banks your money is unsafe, even though banks themselves depend on your deposits to survive, not the other way around. Fear makes people obedient, and obedient people do not ask difficult questions. Another trick is complexity overload, where financial language is made confusing on purpose, using terms like APR, compound interest, amortization, revolving credit, and penalty fees, not because it must be complex, but because confusion creates dependence, and when people do not understand something, they trust authority instead. So instead of thinking for themselves they rely on banks to tell them what is good for them, even when it is not. Banks also use lifestyle association, which means they attach their products to success, happiness, and social status, so advertisements do not show numbers, they show smiling families, luxury cars, beautiful homes, and relaxed vacations, sending a quiet message that using debt means you are successful, while struggling without it means you are failing, even though true financial freedom often looks boring and quiet, not flashy and loud. Another trick is time scarcity pressure, where offers are framed as limited, urgent, and exclusive, using phrases like limited time offer, pre-approved, act now, and special rate, because urgency shuts down rational thinking and forces emotional decisions, and once the decision is made, reversing it feels painful, so people stay committed even when they realize it was a mistake. Banks also exploit reward conditioning, especially through points, cashbacks, and loyalty systems, because the brain loves small rewards, even if the long-term cost is high, so people feel smart earning points while paying interest that quietly outweighs the rewards, yet the dopamine hit from rewards keeps behavior locked in. Another deeply effective trick is income illusion, where banks encourage people to focus on monthly payments instead of total cost, because a low monthly payment feels affordable even if the total amount paid is massive, and when people think in months instead of years, they underestimate how much of their life energy they are giving away. Banks also benefit from emotional fatigue, because when people are tired, stressed, and overwhelmed, they choose convenience over optimization, so automatic payments, overdraft protection, and easy credit feel helpful, but they reduce awareness, and reduced awareness is perfect for control, because what you do not notice cannot be questioned. Another psychological trap is identity locking, where people start defining themselves by their financial obligations, saying things like I can't quit because I have bills, I can't slow down because I have loans, and I can't take risks because I have responsibilities, and once identity is tied to debt, freedom feels irresponsible instead of necessary. Banks also use silent escalation, where fees, interest, and penalties increase slowly over time, not suddenly, because gradual change avoids resistance, and people adapt without realizing how much more they are paying than before. Another powerful trick is future dependency, where banks structure products so that leaving feels impossible, because closing accounts, refinancing loans, or switching systems feels complicated, stressful, and risky, so people stay not because it is good, but because it feels easier than leaving. Banks also benefit from social proof, because when everyone around you is using the same systems, it feels safe to follow, and when no one talks openly about debt stress, people assume they are the only ones struggling, which increases shame, and shame keeps people silent. Silence protects the system. One of the most dangerous tricks is shifting blame, where financial struggle is framed as personal failure instead of structural design, so people blame themselves for being bad with money instead of questioning systems built to extract value over time, and self-blame keeps people trying harder instead of thinking differently. Banks also exploit optimism bias, because humans naturally believe the future will be better, so they assume they will earn more later, pay it off easily, and figure it out somehow, even though life is unpredictable, and banks profit from that hope. Another trick is fragmentation, where financial life is split into many small accounts, cards, loans, and apps, so people lose a clear overview, and without clarity, control weakens, because what feels scattered feels uncontrollable. Over time, these tricks work together, creating a system where people are constantly working, constantly paying, constantly worried, and constantly dependent, yet believing this is normal life. But once you see these tricks clearly, their power weakens, because awareness breaks psychological control, and understanding replaces fear. The goal is not to hate banks or panic about money, but to see the game clearly, because clarity creates calm, calm creates better decisions, and better decisions create freedom. You do not need to reject the system overnight, you need to stop being unconsciously controlled by it. This means questioning debt before accepting it, understanding total cost instead of monthly comfort, valuing flexibility over status, and choosing simplicity over complexity. It means realizing that money is a tool, not an identity, and that your worth is not measured by how much you borrow or spend. If you are listening to this, it means you are already thinking differently, because people who are fully controlled do not seek understanding, they seek comfort. Awareness is the first step out of any psychological trap, and once awareness grows, options appear. This channel exists to help you see money clearly, understand the psychology behind it, and slowly regain control over your financial life. If this message resonates with you, subscribe to this channel, because every video here is designed to replace confusion with clarity, fear with understanding, and dependence with calm confidence. Always remember this: money should work for you, not control you, and the moment you understand the psychology behind money, you are already less controlled than before.